Hello, everyone. The guest TV show is 20 episodes, and this is like the part where everything is gonna be about the main character's um, retaliation and her final move. So let's talk about what we've stopped last time, and we've stopped on the point where Sonia finally got Lorenzo cheat on his wife, and this is exactly the moment like the moment when Lorenzo was coming home and he spotted on Sonia basically crying and talking to someone on the phone, and basically that made Lorenzo empathize with Sonia, and basically he was basically trying to make her feel better. But this is the exact thing that she was looking for. She was looking for someone who can comfort her, but she is good at comforting people herself. She is probably the best at comforting other people. Even when she is a guest, she can easily get you feel like you are the guest, not her. So this is the skill that she was working for a long time to make this plan work. And to retaliate on Lorenzo, she prepared not only this perfectly written plan, but she basically is so good at reading people and reading their minds. Basically, she knows exactly how somebody would act at some point. And the other person who is as well so good at this is Sylvia's friend Juliana. So basically, she is the first person who started to notice that Sonia is getting too close to Lorenzo. And this time, Sonia is actually having a contest of who is gonna be the best at deceiving people and who is better at hiding all the secrets. Because now one of her secrets actually revealed to Juliana, and Juliana is going to exploit this secret because she was a former lover of Lorenzo, and she had an affair with Lorenzo before even this guest Sonia arrived. And now she sees like Lorenzo is trying to replace her. So she is pissed off not by the fact that Lorenzo is cheating on her friend, but she is actually pissed off because of the fact that she is replaced by this new guest, Sonia, and she is trying to find out what is actually going on. So she found this shirt of Lorenzo, so she actually understood that it smells exactly like the perfume on Sonia. That perfume that Sonia wears matches this perfume on his shirt. So now she has this evidence, but is it really enough to convince your friend that your husband cheating on your guest, cheating with your guest on you, is that shirt and that perfume are enough? It seems like no, because Juliana is not able to convince Sylvia immediately. And Sylvia seems pretty naive, not believing her friend, because Juliana doesn't seem like a fool. She is believing that because she has some pretty good evidence, and her intuition is basically something you should have relied on. Since she is your friend, you could have just tried at least to listen to her. But Sylvia is on defense, and she is just denying everything that she's just heard, and she is basically taking it less serious. So next time, basically, they got this conversation between Lorenzo and his brother. Basically, Lorenzo revealed to his brother that she had that affair with Sonia, the guest. And now the secret just keeps getting revealed to even more people. Now, not only Sonia got to know that by her intuition, but her husband, who is Lorenzo's brother, so this love triangle basically is full-fledged, is just working in the hands of Sonia's, because she is the only person who profiting from this and who is benefiting from everything that is potentially can ruin this family, because this is her primary goal, is basically to ruin this family. So now she is getting better at this, and everything starts to shake basically. And Juliana basically called out Lorenzo for replacing her for the first replacing her by the first woman he came across, which is a guest and a friend of Sylvia, basically. And Sylvia has a lot of, to think about, because her head basically is so busy with her daughter and other stuff, so she's just letting this happen, and the only people who have time to actually, who can actually just waste their time on marriages of others is Juliana. This is why she is so, over this, She's over the top, actually, about Lorenzo, about Sonia, and she's trying to basically insert herself into every possible situation to get something from, from that family as well, because she is getting somehow validated by proving that Lorenzo is still unfaithful. She is validating herself because she doesn't seem as a mistress of Lorenzo's, but she is proving that she should have been probably the only woman that he could keep cheating with on his wife. But by expanding this, and going to another woman, he made this mistake, and he allowed basically to get this situation out of control, basically, and to involve even more people who can potentially ruin your life because of this secret getting leaked into someone's hands who is not well-intentioned, So, and the other person who is not well-intentioned, but who was basically an ally of Lorenzo's, but later on she basically started to work on his rival and his main enemy, who is running for attorney general as well. And basically she is still working on Lorenzo, but he's paying her collaborating with him, and he is basically trying to get some information by using this woman, Natasha. And she was that person who basically spotted him cheating on his wife. And that exact moment was the moment actually when Lorenzo and Juliana was they were together, and that moment was basically when Natasha spotted them, and she is basically using this leverage to put pressure on Lorenzo every time she feels like he's trying to push her away. She is trying to use this leverage by threatening that she is going to reveal this secret to his wife. But it's not like his wife is going basically to kick Lorenzo out of their house, since she already knew that he was a cheater. He was multiple times cheating on her, and it wasn't really enough to kick him out of this place, because they are still trying to give another chance to their marriage. They are still trying to basically get back on track. But this is not like only his fault, because she was basically unfaithful with Sonia. She was unfaithful with Lorenzo by hooking up with Sonia, and she cannot really blame him for what's happening. She cannot really blame him for Sonia or any other situation, because she was involved in something similar as well. And she feels that she has no leverage to keep blaming him for that. Basically, her only leverage was till that point when Sonia came back and Sylvia let her in their house. She let basically the person she was together and she had an affair with into her husband's house, and she let her in, and she basically let that happen again. But she is like kind of delusional, but at the same time she is in a lot of stress due to her daughter and her family situation, which is reasonable to act like this. She has some reasons, but Sonia is still seeing like her mission is not done yet, because her final hit is to make this family completely apart, and she wants to go after their daughter, and their daughter basically is the person who is got in the middle of this triangle between Sonia, Sylvia, and Lorenzo. She just got basically stuck in the middle of it, and she was basically involved in an accident where she basically ran over a man. So this secret is not a secret to Sonia anymore, because she knows that, and she want to use this secret to make Lorenzo's reputation destroyed. But how she can do that? She can basically make this seem as Lorenzo was involved in covering this accident and his daughter was involved. And she is trying to basically make Lorenzo's daughter confess. And by playing games and just fooling around, drinking together, they are trying to basically, get to know each other. And Sonia is trying to make her confess and to reveal something super sensitive, like that accident and how she ran over that man. But more important, how her parents trying to cover that up. And it's not like she managed to do so, because she basically exploited this situation, and she basically making Isa, Lorenzo's daughter, to feel like Sonia actually cares about her. She is actually taking care of Isa, while Lorenzo and Sylvia, they are out, and they went to basically get an interview. And while they were gone, she basically tried to use this situation to get closer to Isa and basically to make her feel comfortable, even more comfortable than she can feel with her mother, basically, because this is actually something that Sylvia cannot understand, how Sonia, just a guest, a friend of hers, can so quickly, find that way to get along with her daughter, while she is struggling to get along with her own daughter. Sonia managed basically to find that key, and that key is, based on Isa's words, is actually that Sonia is just more youthful. I'm not sure how that's making it more appealing, but she meant that basically Sonia is acting like she is just, less of a serious woman, and she is just more playful. She is more like sometimes childish. She can be fooling around, just playing along with you, and that way basically Sylvia's daughter feels more, heard, more welcome, basically more comfortable. And this is basically common situation for like parents and children, when children feels more when your children, for example, feel more comfortable in like someone else's presence than your presence, when they feel actually more comfortable with a stranger to reveal something personal, sensitive. This is not strange to anyone. This is how it works in real life. But Sonia is getting even further with this easy situation. And she's getting this situation to the point that she is basically going through her diary. And she's trying to find any information on that accident. She actually found something. And that page was enough to basically reveal this information, to make basically everyone see who was actually involved in that accident, because Isa basically was putting notes in this diary, and she was writing everything. Even the accident was mentioned in this book. And at this point, Sylvia got this diary in her hands, and she found out that her daughter was involved in that accident. And while for Sonia that information was so like that information for Sonia was useful, for Sylvia this information is just destroying completely her mental state. Right now she is just completely unwell, and she feels like she needs to basically get Lorenzo out of their house, because now she feels betrayed, because he never told that their daughter was involved in this accident. And she's forcing Lorenza out. And this is exactly what Sonia was trying to, basically, she was trying to make them apart, since she basically set her foot into this house. And this is finally happening. And she is celebrating her basically mission. She is celebrating this small victory with the man who was basically helping her from the very beginning to go through a prison, everything that happened to her family, and he helped her with this plan. I'm not sure still what type of relationship they have, because they seem to be former lovers or something, but they do not explicitly reveal what type of relationship they had before. But they still working on this plan. They seem like happy that the retaliation is finally, working, and it's getting its toll. And she seems happy just because Lorenza is suffering right now. She's homeless. She's, he's losing basically his wife, his daughter, his house. And the last thing she's wanted him to lose is his career, or the basically reputation. And while she's trying to make that reputation destroyed, she's resorting even to poison Sylvia. And she's actually going to kill her. But she's not going to make this, poisoning to take effect right away. She's basically going to use this slight effect to gradually take her out of this picture. And first she's trying to basically make her tea spiked. She's spiking her tea, adding poison everywhere, actually. And Sylvia is still, due to her lack of self-awareness of what's happening around her, she's just lost and not able to see how this woman, who seems so friendly and comforting Sylvia, is actually trying to kill her. So this tea is basically when Sylvia started to get poisoned. And since that point, basically, everything that Sonia is cooking contains something, either poison or something else. So basically this poisoning situation in this TV show particularly is so overused. I just noticed multiple times Sonia was doing something like this, and even Sylvia's daughter poisoned something to, to get what she wanted. I'm not sure why this poison food and stuff like this in this TV show is so often. It's every second episode they actually showing like someone is trying to poison somebody else. And that just, not seems realistic. I mean, like, from all the ways to retaliate on someone, she used the most, I don't know, weird way, basically. Because she could have basically made that man suffer even without poisoning his wife. And basically Sylvia wasn't behind anything that caused Sonia any pain. So basically Sylvia was innocent. And killing her was just stupid. And it wasn't justified, rationalized, and it didn't seem reasonable to kill her, because the only reason she had is just to basically make Sylvia hate her husband forever, even after she dies. She would still blame him for what he did, for all his infidelities, for all his affairs. But it doesn't seem like somebody who would go after someone like and trying to personally make that person suffer would actually care about his wife or his daughter or somebody related to that person, because the revenge feels only reasonable when we're talking about Lorenza, because she was the only person who somehow was involved in what happened to Sonia. But the TV show made it too complicated when it comes to this revenge, and how everybody from Lorenza's daughter's friends to Sylvia's therapist, everybody just suffered from this woman, Sonia. But this is why probably this TV show is 20 episodes, because to make that happen, you need to basically put efforts into every storyline properly to show that, retaliation on everybody. But instead of that, I think they could have actually focused more on the main rivalry. And the main rivalry basically between Lorenza and Sonia. And somehow she's still able to basically make Lorenza believe that, despite everything that Lorenza did, he has a chance basically to fix this situation and to stop lying to his wife and to come back and basically she asked him to never reveal anything that they had together, and that affair between Sonia and Lorenza is better to be a secret forever. And now, like, the situation is pretty complicated because neither Sylvia nor Lorenza is willing to actually, give up everything. They wanted to basically get that marriage back on track, but Sonia is just making sure that nobody will succeed she's giving them that faith, that chance to fix this situation, but she is just not letting them to make it sure that it's gonna work. Every time they're like so close to make it work, she is immediately just interrupting everything, and she's trying to insert herself and to take this out of their control and to make it like on her rules, you know. So now like Sonia took Sylvia completely under her control. She's feeding her this poisoned food. She's basically putting thoughts into her head. She's trying to convince her that basically Lorenzo is not worth to, you know, keep that marriage, that he is basically, he's never changed. And at that moment, at that exact moment, they were trying basically to, you know, to talk about something personal. Sylvia's friend Juliana basically came, and she basically noticed that how close Sonia and Sylvia were at that point, and that seemed pretty much strange because Juliana never actually, she never knew that Sylvia, she was into women, or that she was even like interested into, you know, being close to women, you know. Like, she is now seeing this situation, which seems pretty weird to Juliana, and she's getting basically another secret about this family. And first secret was her affair with Sylvia's husband, and now she sees that Sylvia is not basically transparent herself, because she has this weird relationship with Sonia, and Juliana can potentially exploit this as well, because if somebody is about to make her suffer, she can basically hit back with this secret about Sylvia and Sonia, or she can use this basically to her advantage, to basically put pressure on someone. And at this point, once she found out that Sylvia has some strange relationship with her friend and her guest Sonia, she gave up on that, you know, she gave up on that idea that she need to convince Sylvia that her husband cheating on her with Sonia. And now she basically switched to another idea. Now she is basically trying to defend Lorenzo and trying basically to make him less of a reason of all the problems that happening in Sylvia's life. She is trying basically to make her feel like he is not the reason of their marriage basically destroyed. She's trying to convince her that Lorenzo is even better than her own husband. She is trying to basically justify him as if he is trying to keep even worse secrets, out of this marriage. And she's trying to basically talking about her and Lorenzo's affair, but she's not directly revealing that, of course. But she's trying to basically make sure that she will never doubt how good Lorenzo is as a father or as a husband. And basically the last resort for Sonia to make this family completely, destroyed. She's gonna drain their accounts. She's gonna make all their savings, all their money gone. She's making this sure that basically the reputation and all the money they have destroyed, and basically taking everything from the man who basically slept with her like 20 more years ago, like even decade ago, and making basically that man regret the day that they're basically crossed each other. And she's trying to basically make Lorenzo realize that every action has consequences. So she basically managed to make everything happen, from destroying his family to destroying his career. But the final act of this TV show is just typical, moment when the main character and the antagonist, the main villain of the TV show, they were supposed to go face to face. And in that situation, more often than not, somebody would underestimate his enemy. And in this case, basically, the one who underestimated his enemy was Sonia. Not only because she thought basically that her plan was perfect, and to stick to that plan would be enough to basically get away from everything that she did, get away with everything that she basically did. But it's just obviously that Lorenzo, who is protagonist, and Sylvia is protagonist as well, and since they are good characters, good guys in this TV show, they are supposed to win, and this is exactly what happened. So this is why I'm not going to basically talk about the last act, the final, because there is just nothing to talk about, It's just typical common ending where all the protagonists, they just, finally winning and getting everything, resolved. But all those 20 episodes, all her plan, all that preparation, all that trip she took with Sylvia, all that poisoning her food, trying to kill her, sleeping with her husband, sleeping with herself, making her daughter get into that accident. All that happened just to finally flop, because the final is actually just flopped. It wasn't really good. So the only disappointment for me in this TV show, the final, and how they really just destroyed all the storyline that was perfectly flowing basically through the season, but in that final stage of the TV show, basically, I just lost my interest, because the main character, who was basically behind the whole retaliation and this whole plan, she basically the only person who kept me watching this show till last act. And during that last final episode, I realized that something is different right now. And she is not anymore that person who is just interesting. And that happened because they completely focused on the idea that basically she basically felt defeated, and she basically preferred to go full on. She preferred to basically go after everyone and after everything, killing everybody in her way. And that seemed pretty much stupid, because her main basically weapon was her playful, flirtatious personality, her beauty, her, the way she's, speaking, the way she's acting, her emotions. But all of a sudden she turned into that assassin. She started basically to kill everybody. She started acting like she is some other character. So I think that was just not good for the development of this character, to make her acting completely the opposite, because if she actually stayed the way she was at the beginning of the show, it would really just keep, entertain me till the very ending. But since they didn't do that, I mean, this TV show is not completely good, but it's not bad as well. So you can finally just decide for yourself if you want to just complete all 20 episodes. But I would really recommend you to stop watching around episode 19 or 18, because you wouldn't really miss anything if you stop watching even early, because everything that you probably would predict is just 100% happening. And that predictability is just so annoying, so you would probably predict a lot of things, and this is why just don't bother yourself and just skip the final. It's actually not worth it. But other episodes from the very beginning to like the middle of the season, they were the only part when it's perfectly entertaining you and keeping you actually on the edge of your seat, and it's actually getting like even better. But after mid-season, it's getting worse, and even more worse after last 3 or 4 episodes, they are really skippable. So thank you for watching. This is my opinion on this The Guest TV show, and if you think differently, if you think that the whole season was just not worth it, if you think that the whole TV show is just boring and dragged out, I kind of agree. So you can basically put your thoughts into comment section and I would read it. Maybe you can just find something similar and recommend me. I would really appreciate it. So thank you for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.